Put try. Let me engage this boy very seriously this morning. Mr. Sorry, how to be ready for me this morning? Nothing is going to make us run away today. Number 9, boy. Are we good? Give me the action sickness. Greetings to the Gambian people, by extension, greetings to the rest of the continent. Of course, today marks another brand new edition of the conversation that comes away on Senbiance VIP Magazine, VIP TV here in the West African nation of the Gambia, and by extension, the rest of the continent. For today's edition of the conversation, we are very honored and privileged to be in a distant conversation with a young Gambian who hails from the University of the Gambia in the area of World Development Studies, BSc. And he is Mr. Lami M.L. Sao. He's going to be speaking with us on what I call the Gambia's route to 2021. As we all know, this nation heads to a general and presidential election that is scheduled for 2021, and there are a whole lot of things happening in the country. It is only important that we listen to the voices of young people who have got massive heads on their shoulders to speak truth to power and give us their own understanding or their own assessment of the political landscape in this country. Should I say greetings to you, Mr. Saud, and welcome to this platform, sir?
Thank you so much, Miguel.
Yeah, we want to deeply apologize for the huge technical fault that was going on previously, but we are quite connected now.
No worries, that is okay.
How are you and how are the people of Brufut?
Well, thank God, everyone is doing good.
That's
all okay, thank God.
That's great. Should I say Juma Mubarak to you and your household?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And quickly, Mr. Lami M.L. Sao is not a strange face, a strange name in this country, especially with young people. But for purpose of the Pan-African spectrum of this media house, people are going to be watching you from Zambia, like Petrine, someone like Zaga from South Africa. You have a Wazana Muslim Managa from Zimbabwe. You're going to have people from Nigeria. Who is Lami M.L. Sao? What do you say to the people? Who are you, sir?
Well, Lamin M.L. Sao is a young person. He's a concerned Gambian.
Okay.
He's a political activist. He's always, his face is always represented in anywhere there is development. Lamin M.L. Sao is currently in the learning process. He's not a perfect human being, he's not a perfect youth, but he's someone who is concerned with the development of his nation.
Okay.
Someone concerned with the development of the continent as one people, as one African. So basically, that is Lamin M.L. Sao. I have my PhD from the University of the Gambia on development studies, and I am still looking forward to advancing my educational career in the near future.
That's a very great one. Before we go further, let me use this opportunity to send a shout out to people who are watching us from all the Eastern African nation of all, Nairobi, Kenya. There's some like a palm tree that I say to you in the Swahili language. You say to you, Jumbo, Jumbo, Jumbo. Habari yako kumfuta nyayo zangu. Nakupenda pia will say to you, Asante. Kupmansara when you quit to see easy. That is thank for supporting us. So somebody in Rwanda in the Ichigwana language you say to you, Abagwanda napakunda moise. To the Sierra Leonean people in Mendes will say, on the other hand, I say to you, Kai Gorman, to the Kono speaking people there, I say to you, Wente. Of course, to the Gambians, I think I will say to you, Abayana is going to call the local Bayana will say, and you can back it to all of our supporters. To the what I will say to you, Nangadef, Nakabijik, the Manamuna Fati, the Manamusafati, Adonabi, will say to the full as we love you so dearly much, that is to say, me Edima Moja, to the Liberians in my own language, Peter will say to you, come and you got like a Liberia, of course, to Yorubas in Nigeria will say to you, to the Igbo speaking people will say to you, one name the number Ikaraka Ijia Mechuku Abiyama, Amama Masiamas Oshimiri Atata, Eku Mechuko Kiki. Uduku Akataka, strengthening all of you. These are all attributes of the Almighty God. To the Islamic people in the northern part of the country, Nigeria will say to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To the Hausa will say to you, huge salute. Of course, this is your conversation, the platform that is meant to speak on social, moral, economic, and political issues affecting our one continent and finding some of the best ways forward to ameliorating these challenges, or should I say, concerns on the African continent. Mr. Sao, I put this to you cleverly. Your nation, the Gambia, the smiling coast of West Africa, heads to general and presidential elections come 2021. What's your thoughts about the political landscape currently in your country?
Well, apparently in 2016, Gambian people went to the polls to get rid of a classical dictatorship, get rid of an authoritarian system of government, in restoration of democracy, good governance, and rule of law, and to evolve in a society that will respect the rule of law as well as adhere to the principles of constitutionalism.
Okay.
Well, it is obvious that in 2021, the Gambia will be heading to polls for presidential election.
Yeah.
And as of now, things are going fine, things are going okay in terms of peace and stability. But then questions might begin to arise as to what exactly or actually is the political landscape of the Gambia and what are the prospects that needs to be told. Apparently, the Gambia as of now is in a very sorry state because a lot of people had thought that after the restoration of democracy in the Gambia, our democratic process will be set in a right footing.
Okay.
But unfortunately, things happen in the contrary. So as of now, the prospect of the country is something that is very obscure.
So you said people would have expected your democracy to be on the right footing. So deductively you are saying that it is not on the right footing. What factors would you attribute that to?
Well, it is quite fortunate whenever people talk about democracy. You know, they always tend to look at only one dimension. That is, we now have the freedom of expression, we now have the freedom of speech. And they limited that attribute to mean democracy. Well, democracy is far way beyond that. And democracy is a package. It's not something that you have to give in a piecemeal basis.
Okay.
So it is a package. So you have to look at the package in a holistic manner.
Okay.
You don't have to identify a particular item in the whole democratic process. And you try to convince me that that is what democracy means. Like it is so politics in the Gambia here whenever you say that our democracy is fragile. In fact, our democracy is backsliding instead of going forward. These are some of the arguments they will come up with. To start with, you know, when we talk about democracy here, we are talking about the government respecting the fundamental values and the rule of law. And in fact, the human development of the people. To start with, let us first of all look into the political system of the country.
Okay.
I told you initially that in 2016, the objective that Gambian people have was not only to replace a president with another president. That was not the only objective.
Okay.
It was part of the objective, but that was not the only objective. The other objective was to have a country that will respect the proper democratization system of the country, a government that will ensure that the transition takes smoothly and take place in a fashion that all of us would have wanted. But unfortunately, that is not the case because we have witnessed an era whereby one of the most important documents, the most important sacrosanct of a country has been thrown into the dustbin, which was the draft constitution of the Republic of the Gambia.
Okay.
Simply based on partisan political calculation. And this was quite unfortunate about the Republic of the Gambia, and it has set the democratic process backward.
That's a strong one there from our guest this morning here on Senbiance VIP Magazine, VIP TV, your only Pan-African media house that connects the rest of the continent to all of our supporters around the continent. Will say to you, huge salutes as you get connected here on Senbiance VIP Magazine, VIP TV with Mr. Lami Emil Sao, live from Brufut as he speaks over us on his assessment, should I say, evaluation of the Gambian political landscape, how frustrating he sounds this morning. Quickly, you are attached to one of the largest, if not the largest, political institutions in this country, which happens to be the UDP. And of recent, since the emergence of Adam Barrow, to a very huge extent, your democratic process have been very, very fluid. When I say fluid, you have emergence of multiple parties coming up and concentrating on 2021. Do you have any sense of discomfort as a follower or supporter of the UDP? In other words, are you afraid that 2021 might be very tactical?
Well, Well, I am not afraid at all because we have always remained that progressive and robust political organization in the whole of the Gambia to start with. The entire revolution of getting rid of Yahya Jammeh started with the United Democratic Party. And then, we are eternally proud of that. You talked about the proliferation of various political parties in the Gambia. Well, it is, very easy in the Gambia to form a political party. And I believe what the focus need to look in, what we need to focus at is what are the human composition of those political parties? Do they even have the political strength to even sit in the United Democratic Party? That is the big question. Still, the United Democratic Party remains the biggest political party in the Gambia. And come 2021, by the grace of Almighty Allah, we are going to govern this country because the future for the United Democratic Party is very certain. It is okay that we are going to lead this country. And let no one be afraid or let no one bring in any contentious argument that the NPP, the Barrow's political party, pose a serious threat to the United Democratic Party based on certain unfounded, reasonings that they may substantiate their arguments on. That is not the fact. The United Democratic Party is growing exponentially at a supersonic speed. Every day that every moment, every time people are subscribing their membership to the United Democratic Party. It's the fastest growing political party. It's the fastest political growing party in the Gambia.
Okay.
So obviously, the proliferation of all these small political parties is never and can never be a threat to the United Democratic Party. And by the way, these are just lizards. Our attention is not on lizard. Our attention here is on the crocodile, and the crocodile is NPP. How do we get rid of the Barrow administration in order to set our democratic process into the right political footing?
But I put this to you right now. Initially, in your response to the very question, you say that a revolution about getting out Yahya Jammeh started with the UDP. Don't you think that would be a slap in the faces of all Gambians, knowing full aware that the revolution started with the Gambian people and not just a political entity, as you just assumed or stated?
Well, obviously, it is not a slap on the face of the Gambian people. Remember, whenever we talk about a revolution, it doesn't simply mean that, because here I am talking at the political dimension here. Because when you see a revolution, you have the civil society, you have political parties. These are two different entities here.
Okay.
You understand? Looking at in the respect of political parties, there is no other political party in the Gambia that's two with Yahya Jammeh here, except the United Democratic Party. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission established in the Gambia serve as an evidence to that. Virtually all the victims who faced the wrath of ex-President Jammeh were all United Democratic Party militants. These were people who stood against dictatorship. These were the people who were fighting for the liberation of the Gambia. They lost their life. They lost their properties. They lost their integrity. They were incarcerated. Some were kept in incommunicado detention without their families having access to them. Some were castrated. Some subsequently to their release, they died. So obviously you cannot talk about the revolution that happened in the Gambia without mentioning the United Democratic Party as a political entity. Anybody who talks about the revolution of the Gambia without mentioning the United Democratic Party, the person is politically and morally biased to the political party.
That's a strong one there. My guest here, Mr. Sao, here on the composition of Senbiance VIP Magazine, VIP TV here in the smiling coast of West Africa, the Gambia. With me here, Tony Michael Howard, who is tasked with the responsibility of inspiring and motivating the current generation of young Africans in the actualization of their respective dreams and preaching the message of peace and national unity, as well as revitalizing the Africanization policy that speaks about good governance, social justice, democracy, human rights, and most importantly, the African unity. Now, let me come back to you. Among these parties you've described as a lizard, so to speak, I don't know how acceptable are they going to feel with the term lizard being used to more or less politically caricature them. And you have the Citizen Alliance of Young Vibrant, a classroom lecturer, Dr. Ismail Assisi, that is growing rapidly. I've recently had a rally, and it was huge and massive. On the other hand, you also have an independent candidate, an independent presidential hopeful in Marisol, that is more or less becoming the voice of the downtrodden masses, let us say the women in the country. Don't you think these are two strong entities that have the possibility of muscling your party in the political boxing ring?
obviously these political parties are not a threat to the United Democratic Party, and I don't think they can never be a threat to the United Democratic Party. Remember, before we talked about the growth of the CA and the growth of Marisok's political party, there was a political party in place, that was the GDC. Perhaps it's the only political party, an opposition political party, at their first time to contest in the presidential election, that are able to produce 17% of the total number of votes cast. So speaking qualitatively, I don't think that I would ever come to the conclusion that political parties like CA and Marisok's political party are growing exponentially. Every political party that you see, even today, if you establish a political party today, you will see people behind it. Because there is one thing that we need to understand about the entire political culture of the Gambia. You see, there is one thing that is very much interesting about the Gambia. Most of the people belong to political parties for convenience and for selfish interest. Unfortunately, this is the reality. And let no one take it as an offense, but this is the reality. Because myself in particular, just yesterday, I was speaking with someone who is in Barrow's NPP. Look what this guy told me. He told me that, look, bro, I'm in NPP for my interest. So that tells you why and how people align themselves to some political parties. It is sometimes based on this, special interests, and particularly sometimes special needs, or maybe they are trying to get some political portfolios within a particular political strata. So basically, political parties like the CA and Marisok's political party, we appreciate these political parties. In fact, this is what democracy is all about. Democracy has basically three fundamental principles. That is the rule of law, the multi-party system, as well as the other principles. So obviously, we respect the establishment of these political parties. But one thing that needs to be established, which is factual, that is these political parties are not a threat and can never be a threat to the United Democratic Party. In fact, I told you earlier on that the United Democratic Party is the only political party that is growing exponentially. One thing that I may take, that is probably the establishment of political parties like CA and Marisok's political party. They may take other members from other political parties, but not the United Democratic Party, because the UDP is constituted with people who have one unique quality, and this is unique. Does your Mr. Sao, does your party offer an oath to its members not to deviate or to cross over? Pardon? Does your party offer an oath to its members not to deviate or to backslide to other parties? Does your party do that? No. So where, if you say no, where does your conviction come from that other political institutions do not have what it takes to buy over any of your members? This is politics, Mr. Sao. This is politics, Mr. Sao. Any member of the United Democratic Party that you see deviated from the principles, main principles of the UDP, check the history of the individual. You will know that ordinarily the person was never a United Democratic Party stronghold member. Okay. That is a fact. Even all the MPs that were shot, go and look into their political history. You will know. Obviously, they are going to other political party, or they are cross-capital. The NPP is never a surprise to the United Democratic Party. Look at the leadership composition of the United Democratic Party. You will know, obviously, these are people who hold onto the principles of the United Democratic Party from 1996 up to date. And ordinarily, members of the UDP who were strong members of the United Democratic Party, and their loyalty to the UDP is genuine, they will never shift alliance, or they will never shift allegiance to other political parties. Because in the UDP, we are defined by one characteristic, we are defined by one feature, and that is political conviction. We have that political conviction that it is only the United Democratic Party that can salvage this country. In fact, even some members in other political parties, if you enter into a genuine conversation with them, they will confess to you that indeed UDP is the only political party that has solution to the Gambia's problem. And this is the reality. That's the voice here of Mr. Lami M.L. Saudi, my guest on the conversation here on Senbiance VIP Magazine, VIP TV, here in the West African nation of the
Gambia. This is a platform that is meant to speak on social, moral, economic, and political issues affecting our one continent and finding some of the best ways forward to ameliorating these challenges, should I say, concerns on the African continent. Those of you that have been watching us on our social media pages, and I say huge salute to you across the continent. Mr. Sao, your party is expected to compete against the incumbent leadership of President Adama Barrow. If you were to do an assessment of his leadership on the grading system of 1 to 10, what would be your position in grading the Adama Barrow-led government?
Well, I would have expected Barrow to at least have a percentage out of 10. But then, unfortunately, I don't think he should fall under that category, considering the political trend that he has already undertaken.
Okay.
If I am to rate Adama Barrow, I think I will just give him 4.
4, okay. Justify. How do you justify that percentage that you just gave? I want to listen to that.
Very good. I told him initially that the getting rid of Jammeh, there was a particular objective attached. And this objective was to usher into a new Gambia that will be the face of the continent. To usher into a new Gambia that will rise from grass to grace. To usher into a new Gambia that will take us from zero to hero. But unfortunately, the liberation objective has been betrayed by the Barrow government. I made a mention of the draft constitution. This draft constitution was the voice of Gambian people. Remember, the CRC, which is the Constitutional Review Commission,
yes,
made consultations.
Yeah.
And this consultation was meant
Yeah.
to give their opinions
Yeah.
that this in our constitutional instruments.
Yeah.
They did that hectic work.
Yeah.
In fact, even the Youth Council, the National Youth Council,
Yeah.
also did what we call the regional youth consultation.
Okay.
To the young people, gave their opinions in order to understand what the young people, how they want to be governed in the Gambia. All these opinions of young people, together with other people in the Gambia as a whole, were all put in a constitutional instrument, which all of us, you and I, and every other resident in the Gambia, were all hoping that the Gambia was going to usher into a new constitutional instrument that will give us a new Gambia. Unfortunately, when this draft constitution was taken to parliament, it was thrown into the dustbin. But before we come to that, the cabinet, the Barrow's cabinet, initially expressed discontent over the draft constitution with the pretext that the draft constitution is discriminatory. There are some retrospective calculations. So that being the case, it is there to serve the interest of a particular political party, a party that they have never mentioned its name. These are some bogus claims that they came up with.
Okay.
And we all knew very well that, in fact, some of as I am speaking to you, myself, because I had an interview somewhere in Bedford when I was asked, how do you see the prospect of the draft constitution? And I was very positive and very affirmative. I had was that the draft constitution was going to, go through. I was surprised that was not the case. But other people already casted doubt about the survival of the draft constitution because already they had expressed concern that the draft constitution may not see life. Because already cabinet has expressed discontent, dissatisfaction over the draft constitution. And that being the case, they said that they came up with this conspiracy theory that the draft constitution was not going to survive. And when I was following the proceedings in the parliament, I came to that conclusion as well. I said to myself, so on the whole, I was wrong. I was thinking that this draft constitution will find life. But unfortunately, the trend it is going, it is never and will never find life. The reason why the Barrow supporters or the Barrow are also MPs in our parliament, the reason why they rejected the draft constitution was simply of the fact that they want to empower Barrow to be that self-perpetuating ruler. Because they want Barrow to go beyond 10 years. You understand? And these were things that we fought during the period. So it was like the same thing that we fought in the past are the same thing that we are encouraging in the present. So where is the democratic process? What is the prospect of the Gambia? How are we going to grow when the things that we fought in the past, we are repeating and replicating the same thing in the present? So obviously we will not go. Squarely, I will put the blame on the president. Secondly, also, in 2018, if you look at the budget that was presented by the former Minister of Finance, Amadou Sane, you understand that Amadou Sane came up with robust macroeconomic policies to ensure that he put the Gambia in a right economic footing. This objective by Amadou Sane was betrayed by the president. I will tell you with utmost certainty that the reason why, in fact, one of the progressive policies by Amadou Sane, could not survive was because of partisan political calculation. Amadou Sane came up with the vehicle policy, and this vehicle policy was going to secure the Gambia to get $300 million annually. That means the country was going to earn $300 million out of the vehicle policy. Because if you look at the ministers, the state ministers and the permanent secretaries, most of these ministers were allocated 3 vehicles.
Okay.
Okay, and the state of these vehicles for the maintenance of this vehicle. So this is something that is unsustaining to the country of to the Gambia. So obviously the central government ought to come up with a policy that will deal with this. Look, we are a growing economy. The Gambia is a country that has, that doesn't have that economic prospect as of now, because in fact we are even warned by the IMF.
Okay.
The IMF has even warned the Gambia not to take further loan, even concessional loans.
Yeah.
So that tells you how precarious our economy is.
Okay.
So Amadou Sane came up with this vibrant macroeconomic policy so that he will save the country at a looping amount of $300 million annually per year. This $300 million could be invested in other sectors of the economy. It could be used to build industries. It could be used to empower young people. It could be used to empower small business fields in the country. But the reason why it doesn't survive, the reason why it never survived, is because they put partisan politics, hyper-partisan calculations where in the policy, and therefore the policy is unable to move forward.
We are talking about the Gambia's route to 2021 with Mr. Lami M.L. Sound live from Brookfoot and Senbiance VIP Magazine and TV here on The Conversation, which is a platform that is meant to speak on social, moral, economic, and especially political issues affecting our one continent and finding some of the best ways forward to ameliorating these. So, this country, the Gambia, over the years, we've seen a huge wave of young people crossing the high sea. That is not limited to Gambia, but most of the African nations crossing the high sea and losing their lives in a quest to have a better life because their respective governments have failed to utilize their potential. So my question to you is, what does your party bring on the political mortgage market come 2021? In other words, what is missing in Gambian politics conversation that you want to do differently as an entity or political institution come 2021?
Well, it is very obvious that migration is a global phenomenon. Not only limited to the African continent and not only limited to the Gambia, but this is something that is global. And then I think it is now time for us to give our undivided attention to this menace. Well, if you look at migration as a whole, you understand that there are two things that we focus on normally, and that is the push factor and the pull factor.
Yes.
Okay, as a political party, the United Democratic Party, first of all, when we come to government, what we need to understand is what is that push factor? What is that thing that is pushing our young people out of the Gambia to other countries? And what is that thing that are in those countries that are pulling our people from the Gambia to those countries? These are some of the facts that we need to identify. Now, one reason why Gambian youth are leaving the Gambia for greener pasture in Europe and other parts of the globe is because the opportunity is not readily available for them. That is to say that the government of the Gambia has failed the young people of this country. The reason why our people go out there is that, number one, there are no jobs that are available for the young people in the Gambia. Most of the young people, because of the unavailability of jobs, sometimes even tempted them to engage themselves in the criminal activities. Every day, when we hear that a particular young person has been caught stealing a TV set or a generator, blah, blah, blah. So these are things that are common phenomenon in the Gambia here. But as a political party, we are trying to understand, why are young people doing all these things? Why are young people engage themselves in these illegal activities? And one of the reasons that we came up with is this. It's because of the unavailability of jobs that are created for these young people. Now, as a political party, we will ensure that we provide job opportunities to young people. Initiate labor-absorptive industries for these young people. Make sure that we encourage foreign direct investment in the country. How do we encourage foreign direct investment in the country? We ensure that there is 24 hours uninterrupted electricity supply in this country. because foreign investors will ensure that a country has an uninterrupted electricity supply before they could invest in those countries. They will ensure that that particular country that they are going to invest their capital has at least a good taxation system that will not be detrimental to their investment. They will also ensure and look at the political stability of that particular country. So as a political party, we will ensure that we create that enabling environment whereby job opportunities will be created for young people, incentives will be created for young people who have the ambition and the aim of starting up a business in the country, but do not have the startup capital. My political party already has it in its policy that we are going to establish a special fund for the young people where they will be able to tap into and be given incentives and opportunities financially to start up their own business. And equal, young people who are already into the business system but they are in small-scale business system, we will ensure that we give them tax free. So that, because if you look at some of these young people who are engaged in this small business, you understand that, every day, the income that they are able to earn, they are taxed again by the government. So sometimes they don't have that profit that they can tap into to pay the tax, the duties that they normally pay. So as a political party, what we intend to do is this. We are going to ensure that we give tax break to this kind of people who are engaged in this kind of entrepreneurship, so that at the end of the day, if this opportunity is given to them for 4 years, you will understand that they will be able to grow their business, and ultimately they also will be able to hire some people into their business, and this is what leads to economic growth. Okay, so as a political party, we have this in plan, and in fact, moreover, as I am part of the students' wing of the United Democratic Party, which is a sub-unit of the National Youth Wing of the party. Day before yesterday, we had a meeting, and we are drawing currently resolutions that we are going to present to the Central Committee of the political party, my political party, because very soon my political party will do a congress, and this resolution will be presented to the Central Committee. These resolutions are things that are affecting the young people, and how do we want our political party to deal into this kind of situation. So my vision still remains a headache for the United Democratic Party, and we will ensure that when a UDP government is constituted in this country, the young people will now see the Gambia as a paradise instead of hell. After I'm talking to you, Miguel, the Gambian people are already born in. We are already in hell. We don't need to go to hell again. Because when we have to go to hell again, that means we are born in twice.
That's a very strong one. That's a very strong one here from Mr. Sao here. We are running out of time, but it's been a very nice conversation with all Lamin Emil Sao, who happens to be a practitioner for development studies from the UTGBSC, and he happens to be the ambassador of his party for students in his country, students wing of the United Democratic Party, which is a very huge responsibility. Quickly, you've said a whole lot of important points, and we're driving to the end. I will want you to use this opportunity to speak in one of the popular languages. Perhaps other people who do not have an opportunity to get everything you say in English language can actually listen to you in one of the popular languages. That can be in Mandinka if you like. Talk to Gambian people to exercise a spirit of peace and love between and amongst themselves. We might have different political ideologies, we might have different thinking patterns about how the country should be governed. That is the details of democracy. You have the UDP, you have the Citizen Alliance, you have the Marisol independent candidate, you have the NPP. Fine, that's democracy, but it should not be enough to creating a animosity between and amongst us. Speak to Gambians in Mandinka to maintain a spirit of peace as we head to 2021. Use Mandinka 1 minute.
Well, Mbading Gambian or Mbading Mandinkol, Akumaya da Bagala Kurbi, Nananyum platform, or Kurunali Kaja, Gambia Bisila, Malatang, Kamitola Wali, Umfena de Mialanko, Anyata Katendol Be, Sulo, Baonia, Gibe, Gambia Dimo Gambia, Gambia Jam. Foyalo ne bang foy malam bang ita tax le ju what tax ni man sekundala du ñolam man sekundala responsibility lam pour ya invest Gambia ni ya invest Gambia ñi ñenta ko pude mi ya lon ko abe dol Gambia no la be ma koy la pour ba jala ko na funding jël mi ya lon ko dila life risk bal ko no pour kata yido ba jala ko wodo stop la man sekundala responsibility la ñenti pour ka diro ke banko to so ko moya da bagala pour dol funding jël na nga ko fu ñola nga kafu political party la because ni political party gibe to nyala na policy ni mangtuli wala la fat man ni ya gibe be nga objectif kile na so anu nay objectif mo wala na Gambia ba mo ndila no nyaat so be be al dal la bin na Gambia fo nekké wala al nga kata nga nan da do politiko kon ni moy ko banko party development ala fo nekké ne so tol Gambia fana nen naka nga tanya to nga kokon ko dul be nyamen kata dam ko yata bagal pour be na nga dag politiko ko ko dum fenna mi yalon ko ato to siya fenna mi yalon ko wato dol ni wona wala ka tindi do ko la ke mari sa min pare no wala na be tata na dan tol Gambia ki ko dam la panjara nga songa panjara nga kele panjara o be si nga disagree na fuko ino ila patio be nyike kana manya na kay ene fana tabe ke kana manya na kay wa fenna de bi yalon ko democracy de o bari be fola le wala ko be toro fenkela alga to kayro kono la ke bunya ko nyado bolla be nyado mondo ba do wado do bi gen ni bu ka tarano kankile andi ni mu fenna de mi yalon ko democracy de o wo bu ka bay ba wa democracy ni ada balo da bango alon ko mol leri opinion ol ci bi yalon ko mankili
thank you
fenna de mi yalon ka bu ka bay so mbal be dan la pour be dak politiko ko Gambia banko ma sama nyam pour se ko nying It's been a nice experience with you. Just before you leave, you recorded time that we slept in the same bedroom. And what memory do you have in your mind at that time, too many years back? Pardon?
I said, what memory do you have when we slept in the same bedroom too many years back? What memories do you have in your mind at the time we slept in the same bedroom? What can you recall?
Yeah, Miguel is somebody, who also contributed immensely in my life. I could remember. Because if someone does at least one thing good for you, you have to be eternally proud of that. And I am very much proud of Miguel. I could still remember in your house, you were taking me English language studies. I'm very much proud of you, Miguel.
Great to know you, Mr. Saw. It's a nice experience providing me the opportunity to have talked to you at least just for a class ahead of your wax examination. Huge salute to you and a nice experience being on the campus here today. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
To the Gambian people, it's been a nice experience here on the campus here on Senbiance VIP Magazine and TV, a platform that is meant to speak on social, moral, economic, and political issues affecting our one continent and finding some of the best ways forward to ameliorating these concerns and challenges. To Petrem Musanda of Zambia, we say salute to you. To Lele Zaga of South Africa and Tokozida Sewala Flumayo. Huge salute to the Nigerian people, huge salute to the South African people too. Constantino Pelotero in the Botswana will say to you, read the Bohela Lintin Jahaho in the Setswana language. If you like, follow us here. And this edition was brought to you by the Supersonic Money Transfer Service, which remains the best remittance service provider, not only in the Gambia, but the rest of Africa. We are sending and receiving money from the United States, Canada, UK, and the rest of Europe. It's quite too convenient, safe, and beautiful. For more information, check www.supersonics.co.uk. or you download the Supersonic app on your Play Store and have an opportunity to tap into the brilliant opportunity that the people provide for you. It's been with me, Tony Mikiel. If you like, follow us. Bye-bye.